G'day, legends. G'day, superstars. Peps and Jdog here for round 13. A massive, huge, complex round of football that we're all going to get into. Great to have everybody here. Jdog, wrapped to have you as always. Interesting round of football. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's just put the ladder up.
All right. Now, for everybody tuning in, thank you very much. Go berserk on the chat tonight. Go berserk on the Facebook page. Go berserk on the YouTube page. We want to see all the comments coming in because I reckon everybody's got an opinion on after this weekend of football. All right, let's get this going right now, big dog. Hey, this is the ladder for the season so far. I think we're going to get on top here. Sydney, Carlton, Essendon. Good game last night, I must admit. Normally I have a different ladder going up, but it wasn't ready by the time the game went live. Sydney killing it. Port Adelaide. How'd they go this weekend, Jdog?
A lot better than you guys.
They didn't play, did they?
Well, they still retained fourth.
They still retained fourth, exactly. Worst fourth place team in the league, I'd say. Geelong, Collingwood now into the 8. Jamie's secret squirrel, thinking they are a massive chance to get in. Fremantle, GWS making up the 8. We then have Gold Coast just on the outside, failed outside of town once again. Melbourne failed. That's all you can say about that. The Bulldogs, I'm giving the Bulldogs a bit of an out. They were down on probably 4 of their best on the weekend, and they just got beaten by a much better Brisbane Lions. Hawthorn. If you're not excited about the brown and gold, you've got something wrong with your football lovers. Brisbane, nice strike to form. St Kilda, just goes to show they have to get the umpires to help them win the game because they couldn't do it themselves. You've got Adelaide to a poo, West Coast to poo, Richmond, who were fantastic to get a win, and not the Melbourne. The Jazz Ruboy Chatsy will be going berserk tonight as North Melbourne get their first win of the season. Jdog, how do you see it? How do you feel about what you're observing right now with that ladder? Is it going to change? Is it going to alter? How do you think it's going to sit?
It's going to change hugely. Tips are fucked. Western Bulldogs are fucked. Melbourne are going to finish in the bottom 5 this year. And like I said, Collingwood are just shaping up beautifully. You wrote them off in the first 5 rounds of the year. I absolutely refused to. I said that they were the hottest team in the AFL barring Sydney, and I have said that now for the last 8-9 weeks.
Yep.
And Peps, life is good. The air is rare up in 4th. What's it like down in 10th?
Oh, it's a lonely place, mate. It's a lonely place. It's like the days when you used to go out and you'd be at the nightclubs. This happened to me a fair bit. Probably you too, looking at that bald head of yours. And all your mates, they'd be going home and you'd be just by yourself, looking around going, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't like it. It's just with the riffraff.
All right, let's get real. Let's get real.
All right.
What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to celebrate the King's birthday. What a wonderful present that Melbourne decided to, I guess, present to the King, to the new King. 21 witches' hats with one genuine Melbourne player playing against I guess you call it the Collingwood thirds, maybe the fourths. What else do I want to say of the highlights of it? Will Hoskin-Elliott taking May for an absolute bath everywhere. May didn't know if he was a forward, a back, a wing, a centerman. He didn't know what he was doing. It was just, Peps, it was a complete Monday for me. It was a real complete Monday. And I know you said to me on privately, and I'll obviously I will respect our privacy. But you did tell me that probably Port Adelaide is number 1 team now over Melbourne.
That's never going to happen, Tarps.
No, Peps, come on. Everyone has tuned in today because you were very restrained on your private channel.
Yeah.
And today would have been a day that would, I can only imagine a Melbourne fan after last week's effort up at the North seeing today's effort would have been quite.
It was worse. Last week was worse. This week was. This is where we're at. We've lost 4 out of the last 5, and the other one that we beat was St Kilda. We are a rabble. The whole joint needs to be blown up, to be honest. I'm calling it now. It needs to be blown up. And there's 17 other teams, but I've going by them today. Something needs to happen because we've gone along the lines of May, Petrarca, Oliver, Viney, Lever, Fritsch, Neil Bullen, Cozzy for so long. It's been on their backs for so long. And now they're not playing well. No one else is playing well. There's been no development. There's been no one outside of Van Rooyen. I would look and go, wow, that's awesome. Oh, and Judd McVie. And Judd McVie was someone that we picked on the rookie draft. So that just goes to show how bad we are when our recruiting, I would have to say, in the last couple of drafts has been average at best.
You had a top 10 pick in there. You had Billings running around today.
St Kilda supporters are probably sitting there they've just dropped their dinner all over themselves in fits of laughter right now. That is how well it's going. Yeah, they thank goodness we've got the bye. I get 1 week off this week,
and then you're going to lose the next game.
Do you know we play the week after?
I do know.
North.
Yeah.
We won't be favourites.
Peps,
okay, we were shit. Collingwood just played Collingwood football, and that's what annoys me. Like they've got no-name brand players coming in, and they just slot in and they do their job.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a system.
No,
we're playing on talent rather than the system, and it's come to the forefront.
Well, what is the system, Peps? Because this is the thing. I went and read Big Footy today because I just thought I needed to get a reaction of what the Melbourne fans are sort of saying, because you and I have our private channel, which is obviously just for you and I. From what I was gathering from the Melbourne crowd, they were saying that there's been 3 game plans that you've tried in the last 3 years, and none of them worked. And when they seem to have some success, something goes wrong, and you go back to this same old tied down the line football that just does not work for Melbourne.
Well, it does work because that's the playing stocks that we've got. I think we're trying to play a game style that does not suit our makeup of our list and does not suit the makeup of our talent, our skill level.
The Goodwin the Sack Goodwin hashtag is strong in the Big Footy thread for you guys.
If I had a heart emoji, I'd go with it. It has to be massive change. Hey, look, can I move on to a different topic? And this is not me just pushing Melbourne out the way. You said it in your little bit of a spiel earlier. It was a tipster's nightmare of a round of footy.
Shocking.
And it was awesome to see. You got Richmond getting a win over Adelaide. Adelaide are crikey. If you reckon we're a town of 10 teams here in Victoria, could you imagine what the Adelaide Crows supporters would be doing over there right now? They would be out the front of Rashudo's house, and he'd be just like wanting to take them all on. They'd be after Knicks. They want to nick the Knicks. That's how bad they are at the moment. They are atrocious. They're worse.
You asked me last week, Peps, about Adelaide. What's going on in Adelaide? I honestly, they are the true. I said they were Katy Perry. Are hot and cold.
Yep.
To serve up that against Richmond, who have Dusty, who didn't want to play his 300th over there, which is fair enough. I still stand by that. That's a good call. You're allowed to do what you want to do in your 300 games. That was ordinary. That was a team that this is the team that should have been a top 4 team by 2 years ago.
First, they're not even that.
Yeah, absolutely. But what you saw,
I thought Rochelle would have gone on another level. I thought Tex might have gone on, but just goes to show Father Time when he says you're done, and they're done. You go to the Brisbane Lions and Western Bulldogs. I got this one wrong, thinking the Western Bulldogs would take it out because Brisbane don't travel. Western Bulldogs just had too many injuries. When you've got no Norton, no Darcy, no Richards, no Waitman. Well, there's 4 of their guns who are out. It's too much for the Bont to do. was way too much for the Bond to do.
It's been 11 years, though.
I know. He's wasted there. Flop trucker. I did pick the Hawks to beat JWS. I did pick that because I think that the Hawks down there in Tasmania are just a completely different kettle of fish. It's a home ground advantage. It's almost like Geelong. Like, you got to play it a certain way. They love it down there. And GWS are just not what they were in the first half of the season. Simple as that. North Melbourne versus West Coast. I thought West Coast would come out and pump them. It just goes to show, no Reed, no West Coast. Can't get much cleaner than that. And North were awesome. Still, they did win it after a bit of a shonky free kick. But they still would have been in front, even if he didn't get it. So just remember that, people. Gold Coast, let me down. I think I ended up watching The Fall Guy for the 38th time because of St Kilda Gold Coast. That's how bad that game was. Shocking.
Yes, shocking. But where do you stand on this whole Max King free kick at the end? Where do you stand on that?
Not there.
And the AFL coming out saying it was wrong. Do you think there should be any? I know I don't throw the whole game. This is the thing. No recourse. It just is what it is.
You can't take it away. My issue is with the umpires, and I'll get into this a little bit later on. I've always had an issue with the umpires, but we'll get into it in a moment. But they're just sticking their noses in for the sake of it now. And I feel with 4 umpires, the ones who are not near the play, I think the direction is you have to just look for everything. And what annoys me is that they were both pulling each other and scragging each other, and it was nowhere near the ball. If it was near the ball, I get it, but it was nowhere near the ball, that free kick. The umpire should have wrote, hey, you two, pull your heads in. And
let's get into this now, because this is what we're here talking about it.
Yep.
Overall, I know you're unhappy with it. You've never been happy with the umpires.
No, I haven't been recently. I think that the game is over officiated. There's way too many rules, way too many interpretations. They don't have a feel for the game. They don't have a feel for this for the conditions. They don't have a feel. They don't have a feel for match, to be honest. And I think whoever is directing them in that way, whether it's the AFL or whether it is the umpiring boss, they're doing the game an injustice. Now, they've come out and made a change to the holding the ball rule. I love it. I think it's a great way. I think it's made the game faster. I think it's made, they call it straight away, they get in. But here's the problem, Jdog. They call it in. So they call the ball up really quick. And then guess what happens? The umpire gets in a position and then waits for 2 ruckmen to lumber all their way in to then nominate.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just throwing it up, and the rule is 1 player from each team can go up, that's it. Do not nominate. Just get in there and throw it up. And if the ruckman's not there, too bad. Why do we wait for them? I'll give you another one. So they have another one where if the ball goes out of bounds, the better umpire runs over, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. You give him the ball, he runs over, stands there, and then turns around to look where the ruckmen are, and then waits until they're ready, and then throws it in.
Well, the field umpires are calling who the ruckmen are. Yeah.
No, but why? Why don't they just throw it in and have 2 people? This is the stupidity in the way the game is being officiated, is that they do things to fasten the game up, and then they do these other things to slow the game down.
I can't argue with you.
We are such a knee-jerk sport that it is just ruining it for everybody.
Can't argue with you, Peps. I agree.
It's just, it makes no sense. And then for them to come out and go, oh, yeah, well, we got that one right. Or we got that one wrong. Well, that's no good now. They could make changes. Here's the other one. I watched a cracking game of footy last night. That Essendon Carlton game, I've given Essendon a shitload of stick over the years, but they are traveling in the right direction. Now, well, I will say this, Essendon supporters, keep the lid on, please. Keep the lid on. You have a history at this particular moment in time over the last 3 years that when it gets to the halfway mark of the season, you instead of start climbing the ladder, you make a rapid descent down it. All right? For the first time in a long time, you are in a position where you could not just make finals, reach a top 4 and you held it up against the big guys, I think you were just a little bit lower than what Carlton showed last night. Carlton have had the year last year. But I just hope Essendon supporters just keep the lid on. You have no right to take it off at the moment because your draw going home isn't exactly an easy one. I think you do play something like 6 of your last 7 at home. You got a great draw. I think you only have to travel like 2 times, maybe 2 or 3 times at the most in the back half of the season. So you've set up really, really nicely. But you're going to have to win the games that are 50-50s. And often over the previous number of years, and you can say that I'm rambling on a bit, but the evidence is there. But there is something different about what I'm seeing here with Essendon at the moment. But what infuriated me, I saw 2 free kicks last night for out of bounds on the full. Oh, not out of bounds, not kept in. I saw one guy running and the ball come off his shin and skidded over the boundary line, and he paid insufficient intent. Okay. I saw Adam Sard kick the ball off the ground. I don't know if you saw this, Jdog. He kicked the ball off the ground. He rolled it up against the boundary line for 40 meters, and then it just trickled over with a player approximately 1 to 2 meters away at
most,
and he called it insufficient intent.
How can you
call it when the ball's rolled 40 meters along the boundary line and then because of the ball being an oval shape has rolled out with a player who's
it's the intent of where the ball was kicked in the first place, not
you're
where
allowed
it
to kick it see, the space 1 foot from the boundary line is no different to 1 foot in the middle of the ground. You are allowed to kick it there. That's what annoys me. And because the ground being wet or the way the ball rolls or the way it skims or goes at a right angle, they call that insufficient intent. But if that ball was kicked in the exact same way in the middle of the ground and did the same thing, they would have no issue with it.
I agree with you that, but you only got to listen to the AFL players when they're commentating the game and stuff like that happens. They tell you, yeah, we were definitely that's definitely we know we're kicking that towards the out of bounds line. That's our intent.
Yep, I know that. But just don't keep calling them when you see ones where guys booted off the ground and it goes 60 meters along the ground and then rolls out because of the way the ball's shaped. It's not a round ball. It does not go in a straight line. I just get really frustrated when I see these things time and time again. And
but Peps, look at it. Look at the theatre it's created in you.
It's great. It keeps us going every week, doesn't it?
You obviously get more angry about it than I do. I just think I
just get angry with it, Jdog.
Both.
The reason why I get angry is obviously I didn't play at the top level. I didn't get the semi-top level. I played like the highest level that I could get from a local footy perspective. And the game was umpired so much easier. There's no technicalities when it comes to local footy. You just ball up straight away. Out about like the intent one, like it gets called, but it doesn't get called as much as it does in the AFL. To the point, do we even need to have intent? Should they just make it like they do in the SANFL where they have it between the arcs? It's just last touch out of bounds.
I have been quiet for a long time. I like the last touch rule. I know people don't like it, but I love it. It simplifies this whole intent, like your thing.
Last touch off the boot, doesn't it?
Yeah, off the boot. Yeah. I don't mind the rule. I wouldn't mind to bring that in, and if you had to make an exchange of a rule, I would half the 50 make it a 25-meter penalty.
Well, this is the other thing I was thinking about last night, looking at changes to the rules. That came up in a conversation with Big Trev last night as I was watching the game. I think for things like where you encroach on the encroach.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Or the stand.
Terrible. No, stand's okay. Encroaching is terrible. Yep.
No, encroaching, yeah, but they should only be 25 meters.
Yeah.
I think if you take someone out completely after a kick or, crunch into them after they've kicked it or got the ball away, it's a 50. That's a 50. But I think for those ones where they're not actually influencing the player with the ball whatsoever, 50 is too much. Too much.
I agree.
I'll give you another one, and I'll give you another one. We've spoken about it before. The whole sliding rule, or below the knees contact, that has got completely jackknifed from when it was supposed to start, like how it was. It used to be a slide in below the knees. You got players now diving to get the ball and a player falling across them. That's not what it's meant to be. It's not meant to be that. It's that dangerous slide in that could break people's legs. What's causing the issue?
Yeah, I remember that kind of being about a decade ago now, where it was like, well, you had players who were literally like soccer sliding into it.
Yep.
And to stop that sort of thing. Now, you, as you said,
Thomas
your players
Avery
going...
Rowan, the one that broke his leg and shattered his leg. And you haven't seen the footage, so it's not very nice. But that was the one that set everything up. So, hey, Brady Donuts, love Mr. Donuts, absolute champ. Mr. Pepper, what was the score of today's game? Did the Pies win? Look, Brad, they did have a win. It was 89-51. It was a 38-point win to Collingwood. So if you haven't had a chance to watch the game, I probably wouldn't. It wasn't a very good game for Collingwood or Melbourne. But I really appreciate you watching.
Peps.
Yep.
Can I just say, this is probably...
Oh.
I'm going to declare it now. I think Sydney's win over the weekend was their finest example of football yet.
Yeah. Sydney have just proved that someone in the league has to be their Fraser Brown to their Sean Wellman. Like, somebody in the league is going to have to just stop them in their tracks. I'm not too sure how. I'm not too sure when. But when Geelong were on top of the Swans in that first quarter, well, something not right here. They're 35 points down. What are the Swans going to do? And the Swans went, we're not going to change. We're not going to alter. We're not going to do anything different. We're just going to do what we do. And then just the entire ground switched it on, and it was nuttage.
Yeah.
Out there midfield. Yeah, it's like, you know, you can dodge a wrench, but you can't dodge a ball. Well, you can dodge a wrench or dodge a ball. Well, you can't stop Warner. You can't stop Warner. You got to stop Heaney. If you don't stop Heaney, you got to stop Goulden. Then you got Grundy. And then if you want to stop one of the other players, I would just put Jordan onto you. By the way, those two played for Melbourne, if anyone forgot. And then we go down to the forward line. You've got Haywood, McDonald, McCartan. And then you got Papley.
Yep.
They just... And then if you go down the back line, which you think is there a bit of their Achilles heel, they just play good backline footy. It'd be interesting to sort of see how they go against Carlton, the Twin Towers down there.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think they've got the best down ball brigade besides the Blues at the moment. Their forward line has just got multiple weapons. And when your three main on ballers have all kicked more than 20 goals this year.
And we're only halfway through the season. Now, are they able to maintain it? I think that they can. I would probably recommend if they're playing teams that are not too high on the ladder, such as North, Richmond, Melbourne, any of these teams. Rest a few, please. Just rest a few. Get some rest into these guys, because you're going to need them in the back half of the year. We've seen teams go throughout the entire season and burn it off at the back end. We don't need that. My uneducated Peps, my uneducated, unresearched fact is I'm looking at the ladder right now, and they're sitting on 148.8%. Is that the first time that's ever happened after the first 13 rounds of football? Well, they played 12 games, actually, but is that the first time? I'm used to seeing teams around the 120 to 130 mark, but a 148, it's still this time of the season?
It's pretty... Yeah, that's an interesting one. I know when Melbourne won the flag in 2021, their percentage was 130 at the end of the season, which is good. Yeah, that's still pretty impressive. The Cats in 2022, they were 144.2, and Melbourne was second that year, and we had 100%, 130%. So we still had a same percentage as the year before, and the Cats went way above that. And then if you have a look at last year's finishing percentage side of things, Collingwood finished at 126. So there was a bit of a drop last year, but it seemed to be if you have a look at the groupings, it was a lot closer across the mark in those top 4 or 5 teams. But the previous seasons behind that, the people who've been at the top of the ladder really have nailed it from a percentage perspective. You could even go as far as Port Adelaide when they won, when they didn't win it, but in 2021, you're at 136.
Yeah, the 130 number. Okay, and it just, I know we're not supposed to be pissing in clubs' pockets this year. We made a rule not to, but I'm just amazed at the fact that
if someone is on fire, we will piss on them because they deserve to be pissed on, and they deserve to be pissed on.
Total points scored against them at the moment is 836. They're second in the league, just behind Fremantle, who plays such a dour style of football. Like, as I said, I cannot praise Sydney enough for what I'm seeing. And the weekend, I'm sitting there just going, there is nobody like this is Usain Bolt at the finish line. It felt like, and the other guys are still lacing up, getting into the blocks.
I haven't seen, and let's just put something in perspective as well too. Fremantle's percentage had a massive jump after the Melbourne game last week.
Yeah,
I think there was like a 14-point jump. If you take that 14 points out, or even if it was 12, right, that brings it down to 109. Sydney, in that case, would almost be 40% higher than anybody who's closer to them. So that means that they've scored 40% more, or they've defended 40% less. It could even be a combination of both. But they are just unbelievable at the moment. They're great to watch.
They're good to watch. If you haven't done it, I urge people to please watch them. They are incredible.
Anytime they play in Melbourne this year, over the next few weeks, I'd love to know when they're playing in Melbourne next. It'd be actually kind of cool to go and watch them because they are just exciting.
Can I just
they're playing Adelaide this week, so that'll probably go up to 280%.
Can I just quickly just chuck up my thing here? Is that all right with how I just chuck up my thing?
Of course you can.
I just want to chuck this up for you. Peps, this ladder is starting to feel 90s to me.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, other than having Sydney at the top, Carlton, Essendon, Cats, the Collingwood, we're starting to get this 90s flavour to this ladder a little bit.
Yeah, you get Carlton, Collingwood, Essendon. Yep, there is a bit of.
I'm kind of liking it. I mean, obviously Melbourne Western Bulldogs are down, but I'm liking the top.
Yeah.
Will we see a Sydney, Carlton, Essendon, Collingwood top 4? Cracking round of foot, cracking final series.
I think I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Geelong will still make top 4 because they have got a fair amount of games still at GMHBA Stadium for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But I will also say, though, that if Essendon continue to keep playing how they are, they will get more wins than they get losses. And they've set themselves up in a pretty good spot. My concern, though, is even though they are on 34 points, they're almost on 32. Because that percentage of 100 is the worst in the top 8. If you scroll down just a fraction for me, if you can, on your screen, Gold Coast are at 107. They are only, what are they? They're just above Melbourne, who's 10th.
Yeah.
So they need to keep winning because they don't kick big scores and they don't stop a lot either. The teams around them only have to pinch a game or two more than Essendon and they're out. That's their issue that they've got. So they have to keep winning because their percentage is not going to save them. Someone like a Port Adelaide, yes, you are on the same amount as Geelong and Collingwood, but you've got a healthier percentage.
Yeah.
So that's the difference now between a top 4 and a bottom 4 of the 8.
Yeah.
So Essendon now need to win and win by some decent margins. Otherwise, they could find themselves, even if they just keep winning, teams around them, if they keep winning, they'll jump them because their percentage is just so low.
I do quite like the old Christmas tree.
You know what I love about it, Jdog? It just means I'll have more finals at the MCG for my MCC. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, they're right. Look, as I said, Sydney looking at Adelaide this week, Carlton, Geelong. Like, there's going to be some good games. But yeah, it's a very interesting season shaping up at the moment. If I can just quickly stop sharing my screen so you can see our faces again. Yeah, very interesting. Anyway, so that was just my sort of, out of all the games, that was the one out for me that just completely just blew me out of the park.
Yeah, it was a cracker of a game. An absolute cracker of a game. I did mention the Doggies on Friday night. Very, very disappointing, but I just think that there were just a few too many people down. This one person, though, was definitely not down. You know what we're talking about, don't you, Jdog?
I do.
The man who's been signed till 2029, which I cannot believe that's occurred.
We love it when the kick him. Ooh.
He got bags. Eric Hipwood kicked a bag, a proper bag of 6, not a handful, a real bag of 6 for the Lions. It was great because you know what? That button was getting a little too many cobwebs on it, a bit dusty because it hadn't been played in a while. So it was good for them to pull out a proper bag of 6 with Mr. Hipwood in their massive win over the Dogs. Can I speak about another team that, unless you've been living under a rock, I thought they'd be poo, and I thought a lot of their supporters thought they would poo, and they are far from poo. Even though their jumpers have wee and poo as part of their colour scheme. The Hawthorn Hawks. Jdog, like, they've had that much success. They're going to have more. I think I'd rather have them in the finals than my mob. I think I'd rather have them in the finals besides Freo and Port. Because they just play exciting football. Sam Mitchell has just turned this mob around. That was the first 5 games of the year. People wanted his head. Now they want to put a statue of him up in front of the Waverley Centre out there. They are just gorgeous to watch. And they've made right drafts. They've made right recruiting decisions. They have just brought people in who are making a difference to that club straight away. I love it so much. It excites me when I see things like that. Absolutely excites me.
I didn't think of them much, and I think last year we were pretty harsh on a little bit. Like, you know, the fact they brought back in Jack Gunston to their team, but I just think that there seems to be a bit of having that senior player in just seems to calm the kids and gives them an extra year or two to just develop and become stronger as a team, and they're going to have ups and downs.
But Jdog, you know what? I look at it and they got rid of Kajitsky to go to Richmond. I thought, why would you do that? Who's going to kick your goals?
Yeah.
Dylan Moore sits up. He's kicked his 21 for the season so far.
Yeah.
You think you knew Joe Newcomb was going to do what he's going to do. I think Carl Amon's stepped up this year. I think he's been okay for them over the last number, but I think he's really taken a step this year. But then you go, James Warple was almost on the chopping block if you speak to Hawthorn supporters 2 years ago. He's just come back to where he is. Lloyd Meeks, they brought him in from Freo. He has just been a whirlwind for them. What about Massimo D'Ambrosio? Like, he played a few games at Essendon, probably didn't get the right mix. They brought him in.
Ned Reeves.
What about? Should we even go on about Will Day?
Yeah.
You
have right though. There are players here that you thought 2 years ago were like
he copped a bad rap, I think, and a lot of it was probably his own fault. The kid can play, and Mitchell's gone, mate. Just kick goals for me. Just kick, and they just love their football at the moment. And I watch some teams who are running around at the moment. They do not look like they are loving their football at the moment. And I think just because they're playing footy, you've got to love your job. And I think Sydney are loving their job at the moment. I think Carlton and Essendon are loving their job. Would you say Port are loving their job at the moment?
It's ticking along, mate. Ticking along.
The Cats, would they be loving their jobs at the moment?
No. They've dropped pretty hard.
Collingwood they love their job. Fremantle, I reckon in the last 8 weeks, they've really been loving their job. At the start of the year, it was a bit, what's going on here? GWS, I think they liked it for work, but maybe they started to want it to work from home a bit. Gold Coast, hey, they love working from home. They just don't like traveling into the office all that often. Melbourne definitely don't like their work at the moment. The Bulldogs, when they got their full complement, I think they've really started to like their work, but they didn't sound like they didn't like their boss for quite a while. The Hawks love their work. Brisbane loved their work on Friday night, didn't they? St Kilda, they don't want to go to work at the moment. Adelaide don't want to be there. West Coast, I think when Harley Reid's in the office, mate, they want to go to work. Richmond, after last week, yeah. And I think North Melbourne probably enjoyed going to work for the first time in a hell of a long time. So you've got to love what you do. You've got to love your players. You've got to love your coaches. You've got to love your game style. You've got to like the freedom that you have as a playing group. And the teams that are excelling at the moment look like they are enjoying their football. And Hawthorn are just one of them. They just have smiles on their faces. Marbury Chol's gone to his third club.
Yeah.
He was in defense. He was taking marks. You know what you're going to get from him, but he's tackling now. He's making more contests now.
What I find interesting about Hawthorn now is I feel they've sort of unlocked a little bit about what they were missing. So they had kids, they had youth, but they didn't have senior. Now they've got Sam Frost in the full back line. You got Will Dace around that center, and then you've got Gunston in the half forward line. So you sort of got your three lines that have got some senior bodies in there. I also chuck in there people like your Will Days, and I suppose you could talk about maybe a Chol in the full line as well. That have now got some senior experience, have seen successful systems, and are just happy to direct some young kids around. They're only a couple of years older than the young crop, but they've had experience in successful organisations.
Well, but mate, they've got a guy who was just probably one who will go down in Hawthorn's best 5 players ever as their coach, who has built this club up, and he says, these are the type of players that I want in. I want goers. I want kids who'll have a crack. Cam McKenzie, Josh Weddle. Like, how good is Josh Weddle? He's nuts. Finn McGuinness just does what he needs to do. Reeves does it. CJ, like, when he's streaking off half back, there's nothing better with him and Connor McDonald. I just think that they're just led so well. Mitch Lewis, like, he wasn't out of the game. Played on the weekend. He might have been injured, I think.
I don't see him on any lists, no.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like, so they've got Bruce Gunson, Chad Wingard, Impey Frost, Blake Hardwick, Carl Amon, James Sicily, and Warple. They're the guys that have played over 100 games. See, what's that? 8 of them, 9 of them.
Yeah.
That's a nice little bracket at your top end. And then that 50 to 95 range is Morrison, Scrimshaw, Moore, Nash, Chol, Lewis, Newcomb, Day. Like, that's your core all coming through together. And then they've got those young ones that are just sitting down the bottom, and they're just doing so many nice little things. It is just, it's just really good to see. Cash Ladir, he's going to have a crack. He's going to be all right. Cooper Stevens is going to be all right too. Sam Butler's just doing his thing as well. Yeah, they've got, mate, Hawthorn supporters. I know that you have been starved for success. Now, it's been a long drought since 2015, but you've got a bloody big future. It looks nice. It looks really impressive. Bo Hawkins, Kanga. Yes, it is Kanga time. It was good to see them. Larky just goes to show that Larky, how much of a gun he is. And I love him at North, but I feel he's wasted. Like, how much would our teams love to have a Larky right now?
Well, you got a Van Rooyen. I'll have a Larky, please.
Oh, you got a Dixon. You had a Dixon. But a great comments just come in from Bo. What about the helmet warrior, Zeri? What about his chase down on the weekend? Like, how is? Did you see it?
No.
How good was it?
I'm going to Google it now.
It was just, you saw it, haven't you?
No. I'm going to Google it right now. I'm going to see the highlight.
Are you going to watch it on this screen, or are you just going to watch it? All right.
I'm just watching on my power one.
You put it up, and then I'll talk about another one that I absolutely loved over the years as well too. That just, it brought back so many memories of when this person did it. It was an old one. Give me a moment. Okay, so I'm loading my chase down, the one that I want to show in a moment. It's probably the one that you want to show as well. But it's just awesome. It was really nice to see North get a win. My concern is that you're looking at people like LDU, probably wants to maybe move at the end of the year, and you can sort of understand that. I'd be afraid to lose him. They're going to lose Zerha, but you know what? He's already checked out. Zerha.
Yeah.
So just get rid of him now. Play him in the twos. Play him in the twos. That's what I reckon. Play him in the twos. Might as well.
He still needs to be at the club.
Why?
On the ground.
He's not going to be playing there next year.
I can't actually find the Zeri tackle.
Well, can I show you one that I absolutely love every time I see it? It is an absolute corker. Now, this one is from the 1980s. This is how far this one goes back. A lot of our listeners out there, it's going to probably not make much news for you because it's going to be a bit difficult to sort of show what I'm looking at. But this is a chase down by a guy by the name of John Ironmonger. Now, if you've never seen this footage, I'm just going to pause it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to put it up on the screen as well too. Now, we talk about the Zeri chase down, right? Wait till you see this chase down, Jdog. Right, you ready?
Ready to go.
Number 6.
Look at him.
That's chasing Peter Riccardi. The old Peter.
Arms and legs. Far out.
How good is that? Is one of the bit. Now, we talk about Zeri's tackle on the weekend. The big John Ironmonger tackle from all those years ago. Like, that was the one that was just like, oh, how good is that? That's what footy's all about. When the big guy.
That reminded me of a scene. That reminded me of the guy from Happy Gilmore. You know?
He played Jaws in the James Bond films.
He did. Shooter, you forgot your 9 iron.
Oh my goodness gracious! But no, they are looking great. It was really nice to see them get a win. The controversial decision on Elliot Yeo for the holding the ball. Agree? Disagree? Thoughts?
It's got to be there. This is what we want. This is what you want.
Yeah, I think we all want it.
You want a faster call.
I do. I think the confusion lied that he dragged it in, then went up on his knees. And
where's the confusion then?
It's in the old days they wouldn't have paid it. Then they paid it now. So that one is the right ruling. It was just really quick how they did it. But if it's there, it's there. It's going to take time for these people to adjust.
I think I have. Here we go. I found it. Found it.
All right.
Do you reckon we're going to get like black strike for this?
No. Not black stripers.
The
only people that are black stripers are the listeners who are saying, well, we can't see the footage. So just look up on YouTube. What's the title of the video on YouTube? Tristan Zeri tackle.
No, it's just the mini match on AFR website.
Then go into the mini match and you'll find it. It's a cracker.
And it's at 8:29 in.
Here we go. What's his chase down?
So here he is chasing Liam all the way down to centre half forward.
Yep.
From the centre all the way down to centre half forward wing.
80-metre sprint by a big guy. That's
Helmet
the type
on.
of player I want playing for my team.
He has no business doing that sprint.
No.
Look at that. Puts a bit of pressure on him.
Haven't won a game all year. You're up by 21 points, 14 minutes to go in the last quarter, and you're doing that. I'll have him on my team any day of the week. Gun.
All right. We are definitely going to
end up getting a goal, which was no good. Yep. So, your mob had the weekend off. Freo had the weekend off. Sydney were way too good. I just think it was I really just think that St Kilda Gold Coast game was a snooze fest, Jdog. Do you know, out of the 5 lowest scores ever at the Telstra Dome, Marvel Stadium, etc. Yep.
Colonial.
Yep.
What else has been called?
The lowest score occurred during 2021, which was the COVID year. And that was because they had shorter quarters.
Oh, that's right. It was like 31-36 or something.
Yep. Outside of that, St Kilda have played in the next 4 games with the lowest scores ever kicked. if you're a Dower backman, you would love. That's why Zach Dawson kept getting games because he didn't have to attack; he only had to stop. I would hate to be a forward in that team because you're never going to get it because the coach just wants to defend. And you know what? St Kilda did a great job stopping Gold Coast taking the game on. I think Gold Coast should have been off the rails a little bit and instead of going down the outside, just go through the middle and take it on. And they never did. But yeah, St Kilda, I think that puts it perfectly. Glenn Rao, St Kilda are shit to watch, period. They are. It was an ugly game. It was a horrible game.
So here's the thing though, Peps. We've now seen 3 coaches go through this process with St Kilda. It started with Ross and his Dow football. Then it moved through the next couple of coaches, Ratton and all that sort of stuff. Ratton sort of brought a bit of excitement football to them. Actually got them to move the football a little bit. Now they've gone back to Dower football. And St Kilda have been known as being a Dower football club. They don't score huge. They just lock it up and they just slow it down. Is this indicative of the back office now probably needing a clean out?
All right. Here's your controversial comment for the week. I would go as far to say that St Kilda are just as irrelevant in the AFL as North Melbourne are.
I am going to be waiting for the comments this week.
Jdog, they've won 1 flag. 1 in the entire history of the club. Do they look like they're going to win another one?
Not in the next 5 years, no.
No. So what are they doing?
Actually, I'd go longer.
It's actually stifled the way that they play. They made finals last year. They've gone backwards.
They went backwards under the same coach, though. Under the same coach.
They've got no kids. The people that they've drafted, they've brought into the club are probably outside of Liam Henry, maybe, Higgins, Butler. But a lot of those people that they've brought in, Hanbury, Zach Jones, just never worked. They paid so much money for them. Max King is being wasted down in the full forward line. They're not threatening the top 8, but they're not bottoming out, so they're not getting any good kids coming in. They at least I'll look at North and go, hey, you know what? At least North have got some good young kids. They've got a pretty good forward. They've got a ruckman who actually gives a shit. Yeah, they've got a few players that are injured at the moment, Griffin Logue, etc. But we know where North are. St Kilda are just going nowhere. They haven't gone anywhere since 1966. They haven't done anything since 1966. And if you ever want to talk about merging 2 clubs together, I would merge North and St Kilda or get one of those to fold.
Yeah, I mean,
they are just not. They're not doing anything at all. They're always on the AFL lifeline, like a lot on their crowds are not big.
Well, they're 14th this year, Peps, and they're on what a total of 93.3%.
Yeah, it's
okay. So I actually went and had a look at what they were this time last year, round 13. 32 points, 119% on 8 wins.
Yep.
Sitting in 4th. This time last year.
Yep. Now, Bo Hawkins has come in and gone, absolutely not. Saints and Dogs, 3 flags in 200 years combined. Yeah, I agree with that. Don't have an issue with it. But at least the Western Bulldogs have the whole western part of Melbourne, and they've won a flag quite recently, and they're still fighting for the 8. We know where the Dogs are. They're relevant. They've got players that people want to go and watch. The Bont, Ugle-Hagan, Norton. Tell me, who do you get out of your seat for and go, oh, I'm going to go, I can't watch. My team's playing St Kilda today. I can't wait to go and watch insert name here play at the Saints. Like, who gets involved? No one. No one at St Kilda gets you out of your chair to watch. No one. So what does that say?
These are big words, Peps.
They're big words, but they have to be said. Because I'll tell you why. My club, before Paul Roos came in and changed the complete place around, I would say we were irrelevant. We were irrelevant for a long, long time, for 20 years approximate before. Oh, actually, that's probably wrong. because 2000, probably from 2006 to 2012, we were totally irrelevant.
So you're saying the AFL needs to open up their checkbook like they did for you guys and bring someone in just to help St Kilda bring them back up?
I don't think it's going to matter because they got Ross Lyon there, mate.
But I'm saying
they've opened up the checkbook. Melbourne.
No, they need to. Melbourne had an open line of credit with the AFL to get who they
Melbourne
got.
paid for Roos. Just AFL helped us in other ways. It's a different story for another time. But what I will say is that it fixed the place up completely.
I'm not saying I'm not disagreeing.
But
I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, but I think St Kilda really, if there was two clubs that I'd be looking at and going, who do we go with? St Kilda North. And I don't want to say that, but at least I can see some future in North. I don't see much future in St Kilda. You can't tell me they're going to be a better team next year. You can't tell me they're going to be better. See, Richmond, I know they're woeful at the moment. They've just come off a massive success streak. They've got 100,000 supporters, 88,000 of dogs, but they've got the backing behind them. Hawthorn have the backing behind them. Melbourne have got 70,000 members. St Kilda, they just
I have a soft spot for the Saints, Peps, because I just feel like they've been displaced in the Melbourne landscape of developments and clubs and this new wave. I feel like they've been displaced as a supporter base.
Brand new facility down there in Moorabbin.
Yeah, but it's at Moorabbin. Huh? It's at Moorabbin.
But that's where they are. That's St Kilda. They had the opportunity to go out to Seaford. They went out to Seaford.
No. But I'm talking about saying if they were closer to, say, the Albert Park precinct, if they were in there, the same as you guys have got your thing just down in the shadows of the of Tower 5, Richmond have got their Punt Road.
Yeah, I
know that Hawthorn have got their Dingley, which is their extension.
Well, Melbourne are hopefully going to be getting like inside of Caulfield Racecourse. That whole massive area inside will be where our headquarters will be.
I just feel a bit sorry for the Saints because they don't have they have their spiritual home, which is into the 90s and the 80s and the 70s. That's their thing. I think they need to be closer into the love of the city.
Kilda's not that far away. Dingley, where the hell's Dingley?
Well, it's out in the same sort of pocket as Moorabbin.
But that's what I'm saying. They're going out to Dingley. Like they wouldn't be going out there if it wasn't going to be a massive facility. Mind you, it's going to be $100 million facility. I just think that they are so mediocre for so long. I can't see them getting better in the next 5 years.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep. And when when they had their sort of golden period in the early 10s,
yep,
like they played unbelievable football. But now they are so dour and boring to watch. Spoke to a St Kilda supporter at the Melbourne game a couple of weeks ago, and they said our team is shit.
When was the last time you saw a camera or a news person, article, anything coming from Moorabbin? It doesn't happen. Paddy McCartan interview. Probably the last one.
Paddy McCartan, St Kilda schoolgirl, or Ross leaving St Kilda to go to Fremantle.
Yeah.
I
guess my point is you go down to the Punt Road Melbourne Aths MCG precinct, you turn your camera 360, you're going to get a professional AFL team wherever you point your camera. They're there training. And I think that's where Moorabbin is. Like, it's easy for Channel 7 to send someone down and just go, just give us a fluff piece for 20 seconds for camera, talking about something. No one's going to send people down to Moorabbin to scan around and see St Kilda because they're just too far out of the bubble. I just think...
Well, the other one would be Sam Fisher getting done for trafficking. That's the only other thing as well, too, maybe. But Ruboy, hey, North must have been on because Ruboy's finally back. He's once again asking if I want those t-shirts. But great win by North on the weekend. Ruboy, they just played some really good footy, and you got some absolute rippers at that club, and that's what I'm saying. I see a future in. All right, I'll put it simple as this, Jdog. If you could pick to be a North Melbourne supporter or a St Kilda supporter over the next 5 years, who would it be?
I think I've let my allegiances known. I'd be still a Saints.
Okay.
I
Understand.
like an underdog. I like an underdog. Peps, I like an underdog. You know this.
How underdoggy are North? They're really underdoggy.
They are underdoggy.
They're really underdoggy. Couple of great games this weekend too. We're looking at 1 week at a time. We're heading into the next round of footy, which will be round 14. Couple of interesting games as well too. So Brisbane Lions and St Kilda won't be because St Kilda will lose, but another win just keeps Brisbane in that hunt, because a lot of teams are now. It's not just them winning. A lot of those teams around are losing as well too. So Melbourne lost 4 out of their last 5. They were 6-3. Now they're 7-7. No, 7-6. Like, who would have seen that coming, if you know what I mean? Western Bulldogs Fremantle. That'll be a ripping game as well. Marvel Stadium. I think the Doggies will lose, just for the simple fact that they're going to be beat up again. Freo off the bye just makes it hard. Richmond Hawthorn at the MCG. Interesting. Tigers get a win. Can the Hawks do it 2 weeks in a row? Mm-hmm.
Dusty's 300.
300. They will be Chubb Farquhar looking at that one. They'll be absolutely jacked for that. Adelaide versus Sydney. Sydney.
Hold on.
North Melbourne
Hold on.
at Marvel.
Yeah.
Can't see North winning that, to be honest. But stranger things have happened. And Giants versus Port. Giants win that. They're still in the hunt. Port win it. They just keep that Port top 4 there. Now, I'm getting a few people coming in on the chat right now. Bowie Hawkins, Rue Boy, the Love Machine are all saying that North are going to cause upset of the year. I thought that was going to happen today, and it didn't. Suns, Carlton, Geelong, Essendon, Melbourne, and Eagles all have the bye. For some teams, that stops their continued rampage. For some clubs, they bloody well need it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it is really, one other question, I'll throw it out to all the listeners as well too. I'll throw it out to everybody, everybody else. I just got this one come through by the Dragon. The Dragon's brother, Tugboat Canidi. Melbourne played as well as you handled the Jim Beam cans. Piss week. It's not really a nice thing to say there, Lukey, but congratulations on the birth of your daughter. She is an absolute ripper. Can't believe she's yours. Say hi to Beck for me. More importantly, I think North will win another game throughout the year. It came in from Scotty Rocket Healy.
After you saying they won't win a game for the year, you're now on the North, the Kanga train.
Time. Yeah, they'll Kanga, roo. One more time.
You said that this week was the week they're going to win, which they did.
Yeah.
And then you declared boldly last week that that's it for them.
Yeah.
So are you on the Kanga train? Or are you not on the Kanga train?
I'm still see if I still got Kanga on my. I don't have Kanga on my thing anymore.
No.
This it's just a great, just like I said, this weekend of footy, the upsets that we had. If anybody got more than 5 tips, you absolutely do not know anything about football. Absolutely have no idea. But I just think that it was just a great weekend of upsets, and I think it's going to happen over the next few weeks as well too. By the way, after this round, next week, we're going to be doing our half-season review. We did it at the quarter-way mark. After everybody's had their bye, everybody will be on the same amount of games. We're going to bring up what we had at quarter of the season, halfway mark, which teams are packing for finals, which teams are in the friend zone, which teams are packing for Vegas. We'll all be going through those as well too, because I think it is going to be absolutely nuts. People are not on Essendon. It's going to be absolutely berserk, Jdog. Thoughts, feelings before we wrap this bad boy up for another week of lace out?
No, it was great to talk a bit of footy tonight, Peps.
I know normally there's been a bit of a few. Oh, I actually have another question. I might put this up as a poll question on our YouTube page as well too. But would you prefer just one weekend off for every team, make it fair, or this staggered approach that we've got at the moment?
Is there another option I can choose?
Yes.
I choose less games, no buys.
They're not going to do that.
I know that. I know, which is why I had a question. I had a question I want to ask, or maybe something we can stew over. But my question was going to be in the order of when does the TV dictate the rights of a sport?
They all do.
That upsets me.
Yeah, they all
That
do.
upsets me because why are we being? Why is the dog tail wagging the dog and not the other way around?
Because the tail gives the dog all the money.
I know.
And
And
without
that's
the
the
tail,
problem.
you don't have a dog.
But you just take that tail and you just take that tail to someone else and you
Well,
go.
that's the reason why they don't play any more Thursday night games this year,
I
because
know, it pisses me
if
off.
you wanted them, you have to pay for them.
Pisses me off.
Yeah, it's all about the cash. Cash. Rocket knows about the cash. Can I say, by the way, before we finish up, Rocket Healy, one of the best cricketers I ever played with. Geez, that grand final that we won in the fourths back in 1994, 95, one of the greatest games ever. And Lukey Tugboat Kanedi, one of the best footballers, both sides of the body. He'll tell you that. Too.
Can I just quickly say there is? I think there's a thing I saw on TV last week on News the other week about protecting sport on free to air TV.
Yep.
I think there's a bill going around. If you see it, support it, whatever it is.
We'll put a link on the channel.
We need to protect sport on live TV. Exactly
right. It was interesting, like they were saying last week, that the basketball was on Foxtel, the soccer was on Paramount, the football was on KO, the rugby league was on something else as well too. It was like no free-to-air sport. It was all
Supercars is on KO. Yeah. Like it's all gone onto KO and other streaming.
You know what? We're free every single week here on Facebook, here on YouTube, here on your favorite podcasts platform. I am Chris Pepper, and I get to do this every single week with the co-host with the most. You know him as Jamie the Jdog Wallace. Big fella, a cracking round 13 review. But as 1 week at a time says, how do you want your footy?
I want to lace out.
I do too. And Yo was definitely not a free kick. We spoke about that. The show starts at 8, Jazz Boy. Love your work, buddy. Have a great week. Hope your team wins. Mine's got the week off, so I get to just take it easy.
Good night, everyone. Love you.